respected Chief Guest of the Day, Honorable Venkataramani, Attorney General of India, our respected Chief Guest of the Honor, Most Reverend Leopold Virelli, Apostolic Nuncio to India and Nepal, His Eminences, His Graces Archbishops, His Excellencies Bishops, His Excellencies Ambassadors, esteemed delegates, dear fathers, sisters and brothers and sisters. I am extremely grateful to get invited for delivering a presentation on Christian contribution to nation building. Just now we had an interesting pictorial and visual representation of the type of contribution that we had given for the shaping of India. In this paper, I would like to dwell upon the different types of contributions that Christians gave to the shaping of a rich mosaic civilization of India, and see the different roles that Christianity played in the process of India's nation building. It also tries to show how Christianity acted as a civilizing force and how the various efforts of the Christians to disseminate Jesus' message of selfless love and care helped to empower the weaker and the peripheral groups of Indian society. Christianity ended through the preaching of gospel by Apostle St. Thomas. The number of Christians swelled with the coming of Christians, missionaries, and scholars from West Asia as well as from Europe over a period of time. It gave an ideology that ultimately helped to shape a literate, healthy, and socially empowered India. Christian contribution to education, healthcare, freedom struggle, democratization process, banking, and different types of economic activities is indeed visible and amazing. When we look at the sectors of educational activity, we find various educational institutions being set up by the Portuguese from 1600 onwards. The first schools were set up in 1510 in Cochin and Goa, and the colleges were set up in 1518. St. Anthony's College of Cochin, St. Anthony's College of Goa, and the Jesuit College of Sao Paulo in Goa, and Mother Deus College of Cochin in 1500. And in 1557, there were 300 students in the Mother Deus College of Goa, Mother Deus College of Cochin. There were Dominican and Augustinian colleges as well, besides these centers of higher learning. We find different practices, particularly the bookkeeping tradition and the account maintenance tradition brought by the German Jesuits in Ambalakkad, getting disseminated among the Christians, making them entrepreneurially powerful segment in mercantile activities. We find many of them eventually being picked up by Shaktan Thampuran in the 18th century to stimulate the market mechanisms of Trichure, Kothamangalam, Ullur, and Chalakkudi. The first printing press was introduced in Sao Paulo College, the Jesuit College of Goa, in 1556. The book that has been printed was Conclusiones, which is the rules and the regulations for the Jesuits of Sao Paulo College. The first printing press in any Indian language was established in El Salvador College of the Jesuits in Coilon in 1578. for setting up this printing press. Father Henrik Hendricks, a Jesuit, he learned Malayalam in the Mother Deus College in 1555, and he was being helped by Father Pero Louis, a Brahmin convert from Kollam, and Tamburan Vanakkam, the first printed work was being brought out from the press of Koilon. Upon this matrix of European Renaissance-driven education system, we find the CMS missionaries and the LMS missionaries bringing in their own contribution. The CMS had 164 schools and one college at Kottayam by 1891. Equally same was the number for the LMS missionaries as well. With the minutes of Macaulay of 1835, universities were being established in the presidency towns of Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta in 1857, and the Jesuits were the first to set up higher educational institutions following these developments. We find Trichinapalli College being erected in 1844, St. Xavier's College in 1859, St. Xavier's Bombay 1868, Loyola 1925. Wilson College was being established in 1832 by the Protestants. Madras Christian College was set up by the CMS, Church of Scotland Missionaries, 1837. St. John's College was established by CMS in 1850. St. Stephen's College was established by the Cambridge Brotherhood in 1881. St. Thomas Trichur College was erected in 1919. SP College Changanasheri was erected in 1922. So what we notice here is there is established a long chain of schools of different grades and levels, followed by establishment of different colleges. And it's at this juncture that we find St. Kyriakos Elias revolutionizing the public school education system in Kerala by accommodating low-caste students, the Polayas, in the schools. The Belgian Jesuits introduced education in Ranchi. The four MEP fathers introduced education in northeastern states in 1850, followed by German Salvatorians in 1890s. And from 1922 onwards, the Salesians of Don Bosco changed the educational map of northeastern states. During the period between 1900 and 1940, around 150 to 60 schools each were being established in Trichur, Ernakulam, and Changanasheri vicariates, Kottayam 36, Pala 93, and Kothamangalam region 52. The various religious congregations that are being established during this period till 1920, like CMC, FCC, SABS, SH, they had developed education and teaching as their major charisms and apostolate. Currently, there are 9 universities run by Christians of different denominations, 562 higher education colleges, 243 specialized schools, 534 formal technical institutions, around 55,000 schools of different grades and levels, 2,500 training centers for non-formal education, which as a result of which we find skilled, literate, and employable, academically competent youth base being built for the nation. Healthcare sector, in 1510, hospitals were being erected in Kochi and Goa by the Portuguese. Doctors and surgeons were brought from Portugal. Initially, these hospitals were being managed by Misericordia. Later, the management of these hospitals was given to Jesuits for the Royal Hospital, and for the poor people hospital of All Saints being managed by the Augustinians, and there was a separate hospital for the people having leprosy and contagious diseases. In the 19th century, by 1855, the French government invited Cluny sisters to set up, to work in the government hospital of Pondicherry. The ruler of Mysore invited Good Shepherd sisters to work in the hospital of Bangalore in 1886, which later became St. Martha's Hospital. The ruler of Travancore sought the help of Bishop Bensiger in In 1906, to get the service of Holy Sisters of Mensagan for healthcare in Koilon and Trivandrum. The Ursuline Sisters of Tildong worked in Ranji Hospital, Franciscan Sisters of Mary worked in Baramulla, and the Sisters of St. Anne Lucerne set up around 25 hospitals in Andhra and Tamil Nadu. By 1920s, there began increasing availability and use of English medicine, experimented, tested, and found effective in the First World War. As a result of which, we find the congregation started after 1924. They all focused on medical care and nursing. ST Sisters, Sisters of St. Joseph, Dharmagiri Sisters, ASMI Sisters, they had healthcare and medical care as their major thrust areas. Lisi Hospital, Pushpagiri Hospital, Jubilee Hospital, Dharmagiri Hospital, Litifra Hospital, Lutz Hospital, all were being erected and they have become major hospitals in Kerala as of now. Sister Anna Dengel wrote to Vatican in 1925 to get permission to to work as doctors and medical caregivers. Vatican gave permission in 1936, and the Holy Family Sisters set up a network of hospitals in Patna, Bihar, Bombay, Bandra, Mandar, near Ranchi, Jharkhand, Rewa, and New Delhi. Dr. Mary Glory and the Society of Jesus of Mary and Joseph established a long chain of hospitals in South India. St. Stephen's Hospital was erected in 1885, Medical College of Vellore by Dr. Ida Sophia Scudder in 1900, the Christian Medical College of Ludhiana in 1894. They were the main medical care-giving institutions from the non-Catholic segments. Currently, there are 10 medical colleges, 3,890 Christian health institutions, out of which 3,570 healthcare institutions are linked with CHAI, Catholic Health Association of India. 300 hospitals are connected with Christian Medical Association of India, and 20 hospitals are with Emmanuel Hospital Association. Christians and India's freedom struggle. Out of the 607 registered delegates that participated in Madras Indian Congress, Indian National Congress in 1887, about 35 delegates were Christians, out of whom 15 were Indian Christians. We find from Mangalore, Joachim Ignatius Sebastian Alva emerging as a leader of national stature. He established Nationalist Christian Party to attract Christian community into freedom struggle. Nehru was one of the main speakers for one of the main functions. He was imprisoned along with Vallabhai Patel, Morarji Desai, Jayaprakash Narayan, Joaquin Alve, T.N. Guido, and F.M. Pinto. And Tristão de Bragança Cunha from Goa, he organized Goan intelligentsia to liberate Goa, and later he shifted his base to Bombay and got his political party affiliated to Indian National Congress. So we find long line of leaders from Christian community of different denominations participated in freedom struggle. In Kerala, freedom struggle started with the Malayali Memorial of 1891, in which Nidhirikal Manikathanar, Nidhirikal Suri took active participation along with the C.P. Pillai and K.P. Padmanabha Menon. There was a strong resentment about the injustice being meted out in Kerala because there was no equal representation in Praja Sabha and there was no equal representation in the government job sector as well. So this resentment made many people turn against the Travancore ruler And the Christians took up the leadership. There was a long chain of struggles and agitations going on. Christians took up the leadership, and the movement came to be known as non-cooperation movement or abstention movement or Nivartana Prasthana. And the leaders were A.J. John, T.M. Varghese, M.M. Varkey, N.B. Joseph, A.C. Kuriakos, to which we find a lot of other leaders getting merged: Annie Mascarin, Akka Macharian, Rosa Macharian, A.J. John, R.V. Thomas, Elnika Tariad Kunithuman, E.J. John Paulos, K.N. Chandi, K.J. Varkey. So we find these struggles, set of struggles for getting justice and equal representation in the legislative council and in the government job sectors finally merged with freedom struggle, and this became an important ingredient in the course of time in clamoring for freedom for the nation. In Cochin, Francis Totangal, Sierra Iyunni, Mrs. Iyunni, Mary George, Cherian Manuran, Mattaya Manuran, Joseph Muntasheri, etc. became the Christian leaders fighting for India's freedom. Titus, we have just seen in the presentation, his figure is represented in the Gyara Murti. One of the figures represented there is Titus Tevatundil. He participated in the Dandi March. He walked along with the Gandhiji to Gujarat to make salt, and his wife gave entire gold ornaments to Sabarmati Ashram. The other person is Barrister George Joseph, national leader. He was editor of Motilal Nehru's Independent and Gandhiji's Young India. He was the person who initiated Vaitakam Satyagraham in 1924, for which he was arrested. But on Gandhi's intervention, he had to give leadership over to T.K. Madhavan and K.P. Keshav Menon eventually. This language and literature part I would like to skip because it's already been shown. Christians played a vital role in shaping the agrarian landscape of India. The St. Thomas Christians were involved in pepper cultivation. In the 16th century, around 600% increase in pepper cultivation is being seen in Kerala. And St. Thomas Christians are instrumental in spreading rubber cultivation. Now the average average tonnage of rubber cultivation is 8,57,000 tons per year. Pineapple is another sector where the St. Thomas Christians have moved over for cultivation. 18,28,000 metric tons in 2023, value of 43,58,321 US dollars is the value of trade happening in pineapple. Christian missionaries introduced tobacco, groundnut, cashew nut, chili, papaya, and we find the missionaries were the channels through which these South American crops entered India. Now we cannot think of an India without tomato, without potato, without chili, without papaya, but they are being introduced through the channels of missionaries. Now about 20 megatons of tomato is being produced for the value of, and in potato, for 54.23 million tons have been produced. Meaning the humble beginnings being made by the missionaries played a vital role in reshaping the agrarian scape of India. About the banking, the Christian church authorities and leaders taught Christians thrift and saving habits through chitti and kuri, out of which banks evolved in Kerala, mainly with the wealth and the capital from St. Thomas Christians. The Chaldean Syrian Bank, the Catholic Syrian Bank, the South Indian Bank, Catholic Orient Bank, Pala Central Bank, Federal Bank, Cochin Bank, Calcutta Bank. So we find a large number of banks which are being started in Kerala were being sustained by the wealth from the St. Thomas Christians. In 1951, there were 21 registered banks in Calcutta standing in the forefront of the registered banks. Trichur had the second position, 19 banks. Almost all these banks were being started or sustained by the wealth from the St. Thomas Christians. Conclusion. The message of love given by Jesus made them start various educational and healthcare institutions, which played a significant role in creating a literate, healthy, and socially empowered country. The 6 zones of India, which were often vulnerable to contagious diseases for years because of climatic conditions, have now almost disappeared with extension of medical care and nursing by the selfless efforts of Christian missionaries. Patriotism and love for India made the Christians become committed citizens, and the leadership of freedom struggle was taken up by Christians in many places. The Indian Christians, by way of active participation in the political process and democratization process, and also by way of ensuring quality of education and healthcare through their institutions, still continue to build the nation better and give newer and nobler meanings to India. Thank you very much.